Welcome to The First Dollar, where we interview fascinating founders about the first sales their startup ever made. Welcome to another episode of The First Dollar. I'm joined by Lax Papineni, who is a five-time founder, maybe one of the most prolific we've had on the show. Today, he's co-founder and CEO of Outplay, and most recently, co-founder of SureConnect. They bill themselves as the never bounce for phone numbers, which, as a sales guy, is pretty much a dream come true. So let's start with the basics, Lax. How do you split your time between these two businesses? Which one's getting the most love today?
Awesome. Thanks, Rex. Thanks for the opportunity here. Yes, as I said, I'm running two different products together right now. Play is the one that I'm doing for 5 years, and Sure Connect is like few months old. It's a new product, and the reason we're calling and keeping it separate is so that anybody could come and use it. Because we're calling it Never Bound for phone numbers. You have your phone numbers at a ton of places that you want to integrate with. And splitting time is the very interesting thing because when I started thinking about building Sure Connect, that was the first thing that came up to my mind as well. So I would say still I'm spending majority of my time with Outplay and Outplay customers, team and all that stuff. Sure Connect is an experimental product that we have started and it's still in the very early stages, but it's getting some good traction and love. So I'm started to spending a little more time with Sure Connect, talking to customers, prospects, trying to understand how they want to use the product. It's a tough thing to manage both, but then obviously the kind of changes that are happening in the market, you have to stay on top of those things. So there is no other choice for founders but do multiple things.
Let's talk about SureConnect because it's the most recent. Then we'll definitely talk about Outplay. At SureConnect, thinking about the very first time you got someone to say, "Yeah, I'd pay for that," and then actually pay for it. Walk us through that journey. What did that look like?
Yeah, so I spoke to a lot of people that are already cold calling and cold mailing. And everybody knows about tools like Never Bounce or Zero Bounce. Every marketer, every salesperson knows about it because it's been almost 10 years or little less than 10 years that people are using it. And now phone is going through a similar journey of emailing. So all these tools like Never Bounce came into the picture probably 7, 8 years back because all the mail clients like Gmail or Office 365 started penalizing people sending a lot of emails. So that's when all these tools came into the picture and said, hey, we will let you know which ones will bounce ahead of the time so that you don't send them emails and then you don't penalize your domains, emails, and all that stuff. So now phone is going through the similar journey. Carriers have started marking you as likely spam, likely scam, and sales, right? And
Mhm.
it's a similar kind of signals they take as similar to the Google and Office 365 doing in terms of the patterns. So this is a high time where there is so much data available in the market. There are so many data players giving you information about emails and phone numbers about companies. And more people start cold calling. We are going through the same journey and same problems. I've heard and seen it firsthand from our customers at Outplay because we have a dialer at Out and 700 odd customers call all their clients, prospects, and for different use cases. Their pickup rates are all time low.
You've got a product that's solving a real pain for the market, which is it's really hard to reach people over the phone. It's harder when we don't know if any of these phone numbers are right. We don't know if it ever reaches them. We don't know if it's a secretary, if it's the wrong business, if it's a fax machine, and we get that obnoxious tone when we dial. So you're solving that problem. I imagine you started doing this with your team and experimenting with it first. Is that where you began this journey?
Yeah, exactly. We have a team at Outplay doing similar cold calling. They also have less than 3 or 5% connect rates.
Hmm.
And over the last 5 years, probably I would have bought all the data players in the market. Every time a new person joins, they say, hey, we used XYZ in my previous organization and quality of phone numbers are like great.
Yep.
Okay, then let's buy them. So then I speak to customers even today. They're paying for 3 to 5 different data players.
Yeah.
All you get is 3 to 5 different dashboards and 3 to 5 Chrome extensions.
Yep.
But is your sales guys really using that many dashboards and Chrome extensions? No one.
You use this on yourselves. You saw some results. How did you shift it to new customers? What were you going after Outplay customers and saying, "Hey, enhance Outplay with this offering"? Is that how you got people to start paying for that, or was it tapping into your network? Where did you go?
We definitely tapped into the Outplay customers. We have looked at who are those customers that are using the phone very often. So we filtered out top 100 customers. First, we went to them and explained them like the way I got that kind of an elevator pitch of Never Bounce for phone is Never Bounce is something that everybody knows.
Yep.
It's calling for Uber or all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
startup.
The Uber for X, absolutely.
Exactly. So I spoke to a set of customers within Outplay, and then I also wanted to validate this from the outside world as well, not just the Outplay customers, because you
Fair.
can't completely rely on your existing customers. They may say all nice things about it because you already have a relationship. It's like asking your own mom and family to buy your product versus strangers. I went on to LinkedIn. I've searched for people talking about cold calling. Now there are some real reps who are picking up the phone. There are some influencers, sales coaches, cold calling coaches. There are a set of wide variety of people on LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
So I've started pinging all of them and said, "Hey, do you know any solutions that does phone validation similar to email validations that we use Never Bounce and Zero Bounce?" That started conversation. A lot of people said, "No, I don't know any tools, but I know this company or agency who is doing it already." So that how I've learned that there are a set of sales teams who know the value of phone validation, and they've already hired an agency based out of India or Pakistan or Philippines, the low cost centers, to dial the list ahead of time
Yep.
and give them all the insights. That just blew my mind because I never thought people are already doing it. So that makes your life easy, right? People know the problem and they're already hacking around solving it. Now, if there is a solution, they may buy. So that's the first validation. And then I started asking if people would buy it or would they try for free and give the genuine feedback, post about it on LinkedIn. So that's how we got a lot of LinkedIn stories. People said, "Hey, I'm getting 30% connect rate versus 3% I was getting." And then that followed up. So many people started liking, commenting. LinkedIn has become one of the launch platforms for us since the Outplay days, and Sure
Yeah.
Connect is the next level.
Fantastic. There's a few things that you said I want to call out for the founder who's listening, who's starting to go to market, who's thinking, okay, how do I take what Lax is doing and apply it to myself? First, a thing that made it really easy to introduce you, and just for this show, but think about that means for all of your friends, all of your customers, all your prospects, for them to introduce you is the never bounce for phone numbers. It is a simple principle. Everybody knows what never bounce is in your target market. And so if you say it, they can compare it. They know what bucket to place you in, and they know that there's really nobody else in that bucket with you. So you're automatically differentiated. You stand out really clearly. That's super helpful to have a comparison. It was very common for many years after Uber launched to be the Uber for X, but it worked. Many companies were able to position themselves against something everyone knew. It makes it easier for people to understand where to place you in their minds and then to prioritize you appropriately. So that's my favorite lesson right there. Make it dead simple for people to talk about you in the market. Make it easy for them to compare you to what already exists, but differentiate you. And then you went to your customers, which is great if you're a founder who's listening, who's launching their second product, their third product to the same customer base, that outside validation is also needed. Of course, customers are going to like you. So I love that lesson. Let's go back to Outplay. Before you were selling this additional service, first time you launched the product, I imagine it's gone through a million iterations since you first
Yeah.
launched it. Talk to us about what was it like back in the day when you were first building it, and how did you go from concept to customer?
Oh, yeah. So when we started, Outplay was a simple Chrome extension when we were in college. Me and my co-founder, we were running a network of blogs. We were doing matchmaking between advertisers and bloggers. We were sending hundreds of emails, if not thousands, to
Mhm.
both trying to bring them onto the same page in terms of pricing, engagement, scope of work, and all that. So that's when we built a simple extension that works on Google Sheets and Gmail to automate a bunch of email follow-ups and all that stuff.
Mm.
But when we came out of colleges and then joined corporates, and then the startup bug hit us, we came out and talked about the idea with a lot of people on LinkedIn. Again, the reason I'm saying LinkedIn has become a launch platform for me is LinkedIn is the place where every salesperson is there already, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to do anything else. You just latch onto the platform, do use all the tools and filters to find out who are those people. So especially for Outplay, I've filtered out about 500 VP sales and sales leadership roles within US. I was in India back then, but I knew that US is the market to go after to make it big. And the people I want to talk to should be the people in US. When you go and talk to a stranger, if they agree to come on a call just because you ping them on LinkedIn, that's a huge win already, right?
Yeah.
So I've pinged a lot of people and asked them what tools they use. At that point, there were only two good tools, which was Outreach and Salesloft. And I knew that I'm gonna build something in competition with them.
Sure.
So I've looked at their G2 reviews, I've looked at their Capterra reviews, I've copied the customer name, company name, went on to LinkedIn, filter them out. Some people have changed jobs, some people were in the same companies. So I've pinged them and started pinging on LinkedIn. Hey, I saw your G2 review, you're using these kind of tools. And I've appreciated them for using tools because a lot of salespeople still don't use tools, even if it's 2024. So when you appreciate somebody for taking those advanced steps in building the business, they always appreciate it.
Yeah.
And then I tell them, like, hey, I'm a startup founder just thinking about this thing. I've built so and so extension to help myself, but now I think it's time that I can make it big. So would love to hear if you enjoy helping startups and startup founders. I would love to get onto a 15 minutes quick call and share about my journey. And if you don't like at any point, you can drop off.
Nice.
So around 200 folks out of those 600 responded. I
Oh, good for you. Those were the good days.
Yeah. So I spoke to roughly 60 to 80 folks. What started as a 15-minute conversation went on to 45 minutes and 60 minutes sometimes because many of these sales leaders, they enjoy talking to startup founders. Some of them wants to be in startups, some of them wants to join or start their own stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they enjoy talking to startups. I think why would a VP sales spend time with a college kid? It's not real. They do love to talk. So I've asked them what they use, why they use. Some said I'm using Outreach. I've moved to Salesloft, and then I didn't like it. Again, I moved to back to Outreach. So I've asked them what you use, why you use, what you like, what you don't like, and what you wish this tool does for you. And there are so many smaller teams using Outreach and Salesloft. These are bigger companies, and they may not take as good care as a bigger company when you're a smaller team and using them. That's what I found as the pain point. All these smaller companies are feeling left alone in terms of onboarding. The buying cycle itself used to take 7 to 10 days with those companies. So I said, okay, I'm building a product, but I don't have to be in competition with Outreach and Salesloft today, right? So I want those low hanging fruits, the smaller teams who are left behind. So let's make them big. Then I started talking about, hey, you're a small fish in a big pond, but you know what? I'm just building a pond and you'll be the only fish.
Way to frame that too. How much attention you'll get as a design partner.
We have started a live chat and we respond back to you within 2 minutes whenever you pings. And our response time for on average when we started 1 minute 32 seconds. I still remember you have a team of 10 salespeople, you're using Outplay, you have a question. Don't go to your manager or ask your colleague because that's going to take more time than asking
Well
about
played.
Outplay. So
Well played.
that gave us a lot of love from customers, reviews, and all that stuff. So that was our early success in grabbing a lot of customers.
Do you remember, and you don't have to name them, but do you remember who actually paid the first invoice?
Oh, yeah, it's $98. I still remember from Australia. It's a customer in the recruiting space. These are a bunch of recruiters, a small recruiting headhunting firm. They were using something big, like probably Outreach or HubSpot. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
When they saw the demo that I sent them on their sign up through LinkedIn, they saw us somewhere. And then I used to send them a demo on the welcome email itself. Here is a 3-minute video. Take a look at it. If you like it, book a demo if you have more questions. Otherwise, just self-serve.
Yeah, the first one out of
Yeah,
Australia. That's amazing.
exactly.
Very cool. Fantastic to hear how you started Outplay and where it's all gone since there. Obviously, you've gained over 700 customers, so things are going really well. Had a lot of people find success with your platform. But looking back, you mentioned that you caught the startup bug in college. Growing up, did you have a little business? Did you do a side hustle? Was there anything going on while you were in school? Anything that indicated that maybe one day you'd be in this world selling?
No clue. I come from a family of farmers background, and I and my co-founder, he is my elder brother, we were the first kids to get education in the entire family. Like we didn't know anything, absolutely no clue about what is even a startup,
Yeah.
how the internet works, what is a laptop, and all that stuff. Like we were of those days back in India, and I had absolutely no clue that I would be here today. Our parents' main goal was to give them education so they will find some job instead of doing farming, which is really tough and nothing is in your control when you're a farmer.
I just interviewed another founder who's from India, and his father ran a rubber band factory. I love hearing these stories of parents who worked so hard to give their children an opportunity to advance outside of the career that they found themselves in. It's an incredible gift that they gave you. Now that you're here, I imagine you owe them a debt of gratitude, and you've also probably been very supportive of them. If you could go back and talk to yourself when you were younger, maybe in your college days or maybe even growing up, what's some advice you might give yourself now knowing what you know?
Yeah, there is nothing I could go back and change. If I look back, I already started early. I would say I could have started a little early as well. Probably between my college and between my startup, there were like 4 or 5 years I was working with multinational companies,
Hmm.
which is also good. I've gained some experience and all that. But probably if there was somebody ahead of me doing startups, or if I grew up watching somebody doing something, maybe I could have started a little early, but no regrets at all. Whatever I did to the best of my knowledge,
Yeah.
learning all things hard way, because there is no guidance or inspiration in front other than there are some people just coming out and starting their own stuff back then in India.
Yeah.
But otherwise, a lot of inspiration that I've drawn later on after starting up is from the Valley, from the Bay Area. There are so many people starting up. There is this hacker news, there are so many communities, podcasts. There's so much information, but I didn't know that all this information exists ahead of the time. So that was the only
Yeah.
thing probably I could have changed is to there is so much information, just go and start learning ahead of the time.
I think it's totally justified to say no regrets. You've had an incredible journey. So from farmer to founder, maybe that's what we got to call the episode. This is great. Now, maybe you're a big reader. I'm not a huge fan of business books. Sometimes I draw more inspiration from non-business books, but is there a book that comes to mind that you would hand a founder if they asked for advice or something that they should read up on?
I'm not a big fan on the books. I don't remember like only after starting startups, I've started buying books and reading those books. But otherwise, I was a big time movie bluff or these audio podcasts and all
Yeah.
that stuff while you go on a walk. But the first book that I've read in my lifetime about non academic stuff is Hard Things About Hard Things.
Mhm.
So that was a fantastic book, gives you a taste of what you're getting into. And then when you actually got into that phase, you could go back and relate. This is what I read 1 year back. And
Mhm.
it was not that intense when I read it. But now when you're in heat of the moment, oh wow, this is something that every founder goes through. And
Yeah.
unless you are one of those super lucky, you can't avoid many of those situations explained in that book.
Great recommendation. It's a solid recommendation. Lex, people are going to want to follow you. They're going to find your technology, engage with your products. Where should they go to find you?
LinkedIn is the best place. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can just go on LinkedIn, search my name, and you'll find it. And you can always email me at lax@outplayhq.com.
Love it. Founders who are listening, it's been a pleasure to have Lax on the show. We appreciate you, man.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Rex. This is a great opportunity.
And there you have it, another first dollar in the books. Thanks for tuning in, and a huge thank you to our guests for sharing their story. If you enjoyed this episode, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a fellow founder, leave us a review, or hit us up on LinkedIn. Want more startup insights and strategies? Head over to foundersales.com, where we're helping technical founders turn their innovations into thriving businesses. Until next time, keep hustling for that next dollar.